Welcome, everybody. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Dustin Brown from the Legal Writing Faculty of Wisconsin Law School, and this video is all about tables. Oh no, sorry, not those tables. Not that table either. These tables. The table of contents and table of authorities that appear at the front of appellate briefs. At this point, you might be thinking, why does this matter? They're tables. I might be thinking the same thing if I were in your shoes. There are certainly plenty of weightier things to be worrying about right now. But details like setting up tables correctly do matter for legal writing, for many reasons. To get us started today, I'm going to talk about 4 reasons why this matters. Then I'm going to walk you through the actual process of creating tables. First, the inclusion of tables in your briefs is dictated by the rules. State and federal rules of appellate procedure, to be precise. Those are the Wisconsin rules on the left, and the federal rules appear on the right. Both explicitly dictate that a table of contents and a table of authorities appear in briefs, and you have to follow the rules. The second reason why this matters, tables are helpful. As you've learned in class, your point headings, they should be persuasive statements summarizing the conclusion of whatever section they're proceeding. They're complete sentences, they should be concise and punchy. And when you put all those sentences together in a table of contents, you create an outline of your argument, which is naturally the first thing that a judge is going to look at upon opening your brief. So the headings are working together. They're basically talking to each other. And here's an example of the table of contents from a brief that we're actually going to be using today for practice. This is from a case called Morgan v. Circuit Court for Dane County, and it was an appeal before the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. The appeal started as an eviction case, but the landlord and the tenant settled before trial, with the tenant getting to stay in her apartment. The tenant then asked the circuit court to redact her name from the online court record because she was concerned that future landlords would look her up, see the eviction action, and then hold that case against her. The circuit court ended up holding a hearing. It found that there were reasons to justify redacting the record, but the court concluded that it lacked the authority to do so. So her name remained visible on the online record, and the tenant appealed. Now, when you look at the table of contents to her brief, this gives you a clear outline of her whole argument. She presents 2 reasons why the circuit court can redact her name. First, its inherent authority, and second, its statutory authority. Just looking at this, I suspect that her attorneys thought that the first argument was stronger because they put it first, and it appears to be more fully developed. Indeed, you see there are 3 subheadings underneath the first point about inherent authority that further flesh out what the argument is. So you can see, just based on this example, tables are helpful at previewing what your argument is. Third, appearance matters. Yeah, I know. What matters is on the inside, not the outside. I get it. I just listened to a 7-year-old family friend very sweetly explain the moral of Shrek in those very terms. But this is different. This is about professionalism. It's like the choice to wear a suit rather than jeans to a job interview. It's the reason why I took the time to dress professionally from the waist up for this video, even though I'm wearing fuzzy slippers and pajama pants on the bottom right now. Now, you wouldn't show up to court in ripped jeans, and you shouldn't file a poorly put together brief. Also, it's helpful to look at things from this perspective. You aren't just the author of your brief, you're also the publisher. If you're writing a book, there's a whole industry built around making it look good. I went to a book launch recently for a wonderful local author, Amy Kwan Berry, who is a professor in the English department here. The book is We Write Upon Sticks. And she was joking at the book launch about how many different drafts it took before the designers got the cover right. And it's not just the cover that has all these designers. The whole thing is designed and typeset. You even look in the back, you'll typically find in books a note on the type. That's how much care is devoted to the layout and the typeset of this book. For attorneys, by contrast, we're like self-publishers cranking out our books at Kinko's and trying to peddle it on Amazon. We're responsible not only for content, but also for appearance. If you're lucky, once you're working, maybe you'll have a legal assistant and a paralegal to help you out, but your name goes on the brief and the buck stops with you. So in the end, You want the judge to open up a professional looking product, and you're the one responsible for that. And this does matter. Finally, your most immediate concern, you need to create these tables for this class. This is what your professors, what your teachers are all going to be looking for. And doing this takes time. You can't continue writing the brief until the last minute for a lot of reasons. You always need to build in time to revise and proofread and edit, but now there's this extra step. Now you need to build in time to add the tables. And the main point of this video is to show you a simple and easy way to do it. First with the table of contents, and then with the table of authorities. You should have a copy of an electronic copy of the Word version of the exemplar brief that I'm using on the screen. And while I'm doing it on the screen, you should be doing exactly the same thing on your computer. That's the only way you're going to confirm that you're following along and doing everything correctly. If you're not doing this right, it's best to find out now rather than when the brief is due. Quick shout out to Jewel Makta from Washburn University School of Law. Some of what I'll show you today I learned by watching her YouTube videos, so I appreciate those lessons. Another shout out to Legal Action of Wisconsin, which is a public interest law firm here in Wisconsin. That landlord-tenant case that I mentioned before, Morgan v. Circuit Court for Dane County, that was litigated by Legal Action, and its brief is the exemplar that we're working with. I basically took the PDF that was available online and turned it into a Microsoft Word document, and that's what we're working with. I'm going to be doing this using Microsoft Word. My version of Word is whatever is associated with Office 365, which I believe is the latest version. I think this should basically be the same no matter what version of Word you're using. Hi, Layla. Hi. Also, one caveat, I'm by no means an expert on Microsoft Word. As I mentioned before, I watched a YouTube video to figure this stuff out. So you may see me doing things one way when there's a much better way of doing it. I welcome feedback, and actually you can visit this link and let me know if there are other tips that you would suggest. I'll show the slide at the end, so you don't need to worry about taking this down now. As I mentioned, I'm going to start with the table of contents, and then I'll move on to the table of authorities. Although there are separate steps for the two tables, the general principle behind both is the same. You basically go through the brief and you flag the things in the brief that should appear in each table. And when you do that, Word ends up inserting hidden code that allows the program to pull everything together into the tables. Finally, before we dive in, I wanted to flag where in Microsoft Word you'll find the main commands you need today. First, under the Home tab, you see that little paragraph symbol? If you click that, then that's what shows you all the hidden code. There's the Styles menu right next to that. In particular, the headings, we're going to be using that for the table of contents. Then under the Layout tab of the menu, breaks, you'll be using that to create certain breaks between sections when you're setting up the different sections for the table of contents. And finally, under References, that's where you'll find the different tabs for table of contents and table of authorities. So with that, let's get started.